Welcome to the Enchanted Ears podcast,
where we discuss anything and everything Disney.
I'm Angela.
And I'm Joe, and this week's episode is going to be epic.
Epic universe, that is.
Yes, we are turning our backs on the roots of this podcast. And I basically, the entire top of the episode just completely lied. We talk everything Disney, except this week. We're not talking Disney
Shun
this week.
the non-believer. Shun.
What is that from?
I believe, isn't that the aliens in Toy Story?
You said it as if it was the aliens in Toy Story.
I feel like it's I haven't seen Toy Story in a very, very long time, but I swear they say that whenever, I don't know if it's Woody ends up with them or something, and they're talking about the claw. Shun the non-believer, shun.
Listeners will let us know.
Yeah.
Just let us know.
Let me know if I made that up.
But so this week we are talking all about Epic Universe. So last week we talked about the Disney Christmas after-hour holiday parties that we went to on our recent trip. We talked about Jollywood Nights, Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. We mentioned while we were down there, we went to Epic Universe. So this is kind of our recap of Epic Universe from a Disney fan's perspective. Because we've definitely gone to Universal, but I wouldn't say we're like Universal people. I mean, we definitely are like 95% of the time we go to Orlando.
Yeah.
We're going to Disney World. I actually feel like we've been to Universal Studios Hollywood probably more in the past couple of years than we've been to Universal Studios Orlando.
That is
because we've been there twice
well,
in the past couple of years.
I was gonna say we had a couple coincidental trips over there where we're like, we might as well go to Universal Studios. We're close,
right?
Whereas we don't usually make the trip over to Universal Studios.
3 years.
We went to oh my goodness, the water park, Volcano Bay.
Yes. But I think the last time we've actually been to like Universal Studios, I think was when you did the Dopey the first time, which was like 3 years ago. So it's been a while. But so we made it back. And so with the opening of Epic Universe, we wanted to go check it out, see what all the hype is about, or lack thereof hype, because, I mean, spoiler alert a little bit, we really enjoyed it, but it's definitely not getting, like, there's some bad reviews. And the bad reviews seem to kind of be centered on the reliability of attractions. And we definitely experienced that as well during our trip, but it did not impact us as much. So I think it still made for an enjoyable day for us.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. It was definitely an interesting and eye-opening experience, I would say.
All right, so getting into a little bit of like a background, just so everybody kind of knows like when we went, what we did, just so you can kind of help, if you're interested in going, help kind of plan your day. Because I do think, and again, like reading some of the reviews, looking at some of the feedback of the parks, it I think depends on kind of when you go. We got extremely lucky. So we went the Sunday after Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. Now, Thanksgiving is obviously very busy down in Orlando. I picked that day because that was the cheapest ticket of the time we were going to be there. And so knowing that the theme parks kind of price out their tickets based on expected demand, I assumed the cheapest day is going to be the least crowded, which I think worked out. So tickets for one day to Epic Universe were $179 when we went. We did get Express Pass as well. And we got lucky because I think it was definitely the Donkey Kong attraction and Harry Potter. They originally weren't on Express Pass, but after we purchased the tickets, because we bought these a while ago, they did get added. So basically everything there is on Express Pass. So that includes Constellation Carousel, Curse of the Werewolf, Fire Drill, Hiccup Swing Gliders, Harry Potter and the Battle at the Ministry, Le Cirque Arenu, Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge, Minecart Madness, Monsters Unchained, Stardust Racers, The Untrainable Dragon Show, and Yoshi's Adventure. So,
I think there was only one ride that comes to mind that wasn't on the Express Pass, which was Dragon Racers Rally, which is the one where you're on these, like, they're kind of like dragon cars, and it sort of looks like a more basic amusement park ride.
It definitely is.
Yeah, and but it looks really cool.
It's kind of like a swing
attraction,
it's like a
but
swing not quite.
Glider.
Yeah. And it has an Express Pass front to it, because we even walked up to it of like, hey, we have Express Pass. And they're like, oh yeah, that's not on this attraction. But yeah, I think you're right. I think that's the only one. Basically everything else has it. So the day we purchased Express Pass again, so the Sunday after Thanksgiving, it was $210 a person for Express Pass. So it was $30 more than the price to get into the park to buy the Express Pass. We decided to go for it because, again, we weren't sure. We were assuming it was going to be very crowded, and we didn't want to, we wanted to be able to experience as much as possible, knowing we only had one day there. We'll kind of get in later if we thought it was worth it or not. But again, just to kind of give a little bit of background to everybody. So I guess initial impressions of the park once you got in there.
My initial impression, I mean, I don't know if it was as soon as I got in, but very shortly after I had gotten in and ridden a few rides. And again, I'm not really including Super Mario World. I don't want to include that. Yeah, Super Nintendo World. I don't want to include that so much because most of it we'd seen over in Hollywood. So, I mean, it weighs in, but it doesn't.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, the land itself,
yes,
we've seen.
But Donkey Kong's not part of
Donkey Kong's
on the West
not
Coast.
part of it. The Yoshi's Adventure is not part of it. They also have additional places to eat in there. So you're right. The Mario Kart and kind of the land itself is very similar to over at Hollywood, and we've experienced that. But yeah, this actually makes sense to call it Super Nintendo World.
Yeah.
Because there's actually more than just Super Mario, which Hollywood has that.
Yeah. So I will say probably outside of that, because it wasn't fully new to us, I was flabbergasted. And I'll get into this more later on, but the details of the rides, the details in the queues themselves, the details even in the bathrooms. It was really well themed and really interesting visually. Lots of really nice bright colors used, lots of live entertainment that's high quality. So, I mean, as we moved through the park throughout the day, I was really impressed.
Yeah, I was interested to see how the design would work because it is set up like a traditional kind of hub and spoke park design, but almost like a more modern version of it. So the existing Universal theme parks in Orlando are set up more like Hollywood Studios, where
I could not navigate Universal Studios to save my life.
There's a main roadway, but then there's kind of offshoots. There's not a central, hub and spoke like you have at Magic Kingdom or Animal Kingdom or Epcot. Whereas Epic Universe is set up like that, but it's different in the fact that basically the hub is it's like the entire spine of the park, and it is actually a park. That's what I think stood out to me most at the beginning and throughout kind of the whole day, going back to, from land to land, because you basically have to come back to this central spot, is that it is designed like a green space. I mean, it is a very relaxing, calming park. That center area of the park was definitely the least crowded, so you could easily, you're in Super Nintendo World and everything's bright and loud and there's noises, and you step out and it's very calm and relaxing. You could just sit there. There's water fountains. That's where the carousel is.
Yeah, that was cool to me too.
That was the way they designed that was absolutely incredible. And then you have all of the worlds, the portals kind of going off of that. So again, it's hub and spoke, but kind of in this more modern framework where that center is so much larger. So I think that's what initially stood out to me. I think overall, again, we'll kind of, like you said, get into this a little bit more. I was surprised at how full it felt. I mean, it's a brand new park. I was kind of worried, is there going to be enough to do, in all of these lands, enough to kind of really hold your attention for a whole day. I was surprised at really, how many attractions there was in each land, how there was a lot of live entertainment, which we'll get into, how even again, the green space, the trees, the growth, it felt fuller than I expected. It didn't feel like this stuff was just planted 6 months ago and open. So yeah, I was really impressed by everything overall. So let's kind of walk through the different lands here. kind of in the order that we went through them. So we did start in Super Nintendo World because that is the first basically land that you come to as you enter the park, minus the, again, kind of the central part of the park, which is the land in and of itself. So like you mentioned, we have experienced that. If you've been to Universal Studios Hollywood, the Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge is exactly the same. The land itself is bigger. I really liked Yoshi's Adventure, which is basically just like you just sit in a Yoshi and go very slowly through the land. But there's like animatronics and there's like little scenes and vignettes.
Well, there's also an interactivity, but our line was 10 minutes. We actually didn't use our Fast Pass for this
Express
attraction.
Pass.
Yes.
Express Pass, yeah.
Yeah. My Disney is showing. Our Express Pass for this ride because I said, well, why don't we just, since the line's so short, not use it, and then if we like it, we can always come back and use the Express Pass later on. We never really felt the need to go back and do it again. I thought it was cute.
I really liked it. I really liked it. I was surprised at how much I liked it.
And I think that's really like my overall review of the entire like Nintendo section is it's cute. Like I feel like they could step up some of the intensity on these. And I'm a person, like, quite honestly now, I don't need a lot of intensity. But the Mario Kart ride, I do think it's fun. I know a lot of people are very disappointed by it.
It's growing on me. Mm-hmm. I will definitely say that. So we've done it a couple times before that. So this is probably the third or fourth time I've been on it. It's definitely growing on me. I was definitely one of the people when I first rode it, when I first saw it, I was like, this feels like it's not living up to basically the selling point of it. Like, I feel like they could have done it as a trackless ride and you could have had some more, that we could have had some more like variability and kind of excitement because it's on a track, you know where you're going. I'm sure they put it on a track because it's more reliable. I mean, we see how Rise of the Resistance breaks down and stuff a lot. So I think they probably did it for more reliability, but it's definitely growing on me. I'm starting to enjoy it more the more times I ride it.
I do think so. You know, I'm going to say some negative things about Disney here. So I kind of want to take the opportunity to say something positive. Disney does a better job at the gamified rides. I think that for my issue with Mario Kart is I think it's really fun. I think that the particular like IP that they have for it is perfect. Like, could not be more perfect. They picked a game that this has been going on for a really, really long time. A lot of people really love it. But when you put those goggles on, the characters aren't crisp. They're very light. They're kind of hard, like they're harder to see.
Well, it's a whole augmented reality kind of thing too.
So it's not like a real, like it's not super strong. Like, and there's a lot of rides that Disney has, you know, think about Space, even like Space Ranger Spin. Think about the Spider-Man ride over in Universal, or not Universal, over in
Disneyland.
I know a lot of people say bad stuff about that one too. I think that one's a lot of fun.
And that one's interesting because you don't need anything. It just tracks your hands. You know, kind of doing it. It seems more realistic. You bring up a good point, and I think this is where, again, kind of I struggle with it. It's growing on me, but I think to your point on, it's a great IP, and I think almost that's the problem.
And they let it down.
Is like
they could have done better.
If it was, speaking of Disney, if it was a Sugar Rush attraction based on Wreck-It Ralph and the Sugar Rush game, and so it could be basically the exact same thing. You are in cars, you're driving, you know, you kind of connect into the video game world and you're playing it. I almost think I would find it more fun because it's like you don't have as high expectations for a Sugar Rush game. Mm-hmm. But when you're talking Mario Kart, which is a super fun video game, again, just the whole theming of the queue and everything you're going into, like the IP has such a high level that I feel like they needed to try to make it a Rise of the Resistance, you know, like they needed to try to make it a trackless ride. Like they needed to step it up a little bit more,
or give you more control of the car, like Space Ranger Spin, where you can, you know, you can spin the whole car around. I feel very much like that entire area of the park very much feels like they went hard on the decorations.
Oh, they went
And they like the queue, gorgeous.
They went
There's everything
in every
is
queue
wonderful.
in every land. I am surprised because I am surprised you did not like the Donkey Kong attraction as much, because you kind of came off of
No.
that and the Minecart Madness attraction. You're like, oh, I really didn't like that as much. Which I, going into it again,
That doesn't surprise me at all.
just seeing, I kind of watch ride videos, and this was another one where I'm like, it's cool, but they did not completely hide that there's kind of like it's on an arm. Like there's definitely from within the land, there's viewpoints where you can see, oh, that's not really a a mine cart jumping the track, which I thought they would have done a little bit better of a job on. And it didn't look like that exciting from a point of view, but actually riding it was, to me, it was more fun and exciting than I expected. So I came off of it, because I went into it with very low expectations. I came off of it and was like, wow, that was a lot of fun. I actually really enjoyed that. And then you came off of it being a fan of Donkey Kong, and like,
yes.
it was okay.
And that's that's really the problem.
It's the whole expectations versus
that was
reality.
the problem,
Yeah.
because what I was expecting is playing those levels. Those minecart ride levels are the funnest game, like the funnest levels on Donkey Kong. You didn't play the games, but you were literally jumping the track, jumping sideways, going onto another track so that you don't fall off of the edge. But it never felt that way when you were riding it. You felt very clearly when you were jumping the track.
Yeah, it could have done a better job there.
You felt very clearly that you were just moving. You weren't even moving sideways. You were moving forward and over. So like, they just went like this with the track and just diverted it. And so it didn't have that real feel. And knowing that it was on an arm, I kind of thought that they were going to move you from one track physically to another track and like almost like reconnect you. So it felt like, I don't know, like.
Yeah, there wasn't as much of, to your point, that when you're jumping the tracks or switching from one to the other, it was pretty smooth. I think you were expecting more
smooth,
kind of chaotic attractions. I will say though, I mean, that queue, again, speaking of queues, that had animatronics in the queue. There's a couple rides in this whole park that had animatronics in the queue.
And I did love like the Kong, like the letters hidden throughout the land. That was kind of fun and cute.
There's the drums that basically just the rhino comes out.
Yeah, Rambi comes out. I mean, they definitely did a really cool job. It wasn't super clear, and there are a couple mini games in throughout that land that it wasn't super clear at first that they were actually games, and so they have to keep a cast member there basically to show you that like, hey, like if you hit it this way and follow this, like there are lights, and if you pay attention and you hit them based on the lights, then something will happen.
Oh yeah.
And like that was a cool aspect to it. Donkey Kong Land looked beautiful. And same thing with Mario. It looks beautiful. We didn't play any of the mini games because we forgot
and they're the same.
Yeah, they're the same mini games, but we also
we didn't have our power up.
Yeah,
bands.
we forgot our power up bands, but we had plenty else to keep us busy for the day. But yeah, like it's the theming is so well, and I do have to pause here real quick to say that they also like you mentioned that they have Toadstool Cafe.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. They have other food options there.
And so one of those was like a little quick serve place where you could get like turtle shells.
Calzone shells.
Yeah, they were. So calzone is they basically were hot pockets.
I think that's what they were called. I think they were called calzone shells.
They were hot pockets.
But they were Yoshi shells.
Yeah, no, they weren't. They were.
They were Yoshi. Oh,
they're the shell. The turtles, because they were green and red ones.
Yep.
But I mean, I really enjoyed mine. I saw like afterwards, I saw some reviews online and people didn't like them.
Well, you got the vegetarian one, right?
Yeah, I did. And I mean, there was no part of any of that tasted like the cheese specifically that tasted like it wasn't real cheese to me. I didn't want meat. I think they had the other ones had meat sauce in them, and I'm not a fan of meat sauce at all. So I was like, I'll get the vegetarian one. It was delicious. It was so good. I loved the shell. It is hard, like harder on the outside, and softer on the inside. I enjoyed that about it. I thought it was a really good snack. I much like, as far as theme park food is concerned, loved it. Liked it more than a Hot Pocket. So yeah, like I thought that was fun. I think the whole land is just super creative, but I think that maybe they could have gone a little harder on the rides.
Yeah, you really liked that. You got the calzone shell. I ate at Toadstool Cafe, which I think is a fun place to eat because they have like the little toads. Like they have videos of all the little toads like cooking the food. And then at one point, like
and running around in the town.
yeah, they're like they get attacked and Luigi comes and saves them. So that was fun. There also is like another little snack cart, I think, on the second story that just sells like popcorn and stuff. So again, just kind of a lot more food options in there. So we moved from there. We went to Isle of Berk next, the How to Train Your Dragon land, which again, so we'd been to Super Nintendo World. We kind of knew what to expect there. You go to Isle of Berk, again, just incredibly detailed and themed. You walk in there, they have kind of like the two statues on the water. You know, it looks like the village is kind of in the background. Then you can then go walk through the village. They have animatronic dragons just out throughout the. I mean, that's the thing. It's like there are more animatronics. Like Disney does animatronics a lot very well in rides. Epic Universe had animatronics in queues, just in the land. Like there's this one, it was like the ice dragon, whatever. It like breathed,
that was so cool.
you know, ice smoke kind of every couple minutes. That was its own experience and attraction just to see that. That's not even talking about, you know, the robotic little baby dragons that come out or meeting Toothless, which again, I mean, a meet and greet that is a fully animatronic, life-size Toothless that you can, you know, interact with. You can, you know, pet him, touch him. There is like sometimes hiccups there, sometimes just like a character from the Isle of Berks there that you can interact with them. I mean, that's an experience in and of itself.
It works really well too because like in Disney, and again, Disney couldn't necessarily do this, but in Disney you have a cast member that interprets the character that you're doing a meet and greet with. Well, it's really cool because the cast member that's doing the interpretation is also in costume as a character from, you know, either How to Train Your Dragon or one specific to the Isle of Berk and one that they've created. So it was kind of funny. Like we had a funny experience when we were waiting in line for that. It was a pretty long line. Like there was no way
What's the thing?
we
It
couldn't
was
use.
It was over an hour. I think,
and we couldn't use our express
there's
pass
no express
for
pass
it.
for that. Yeah.
But we decided to wait, and while we were waiting, Hiccup was up there, and I was like really excited. And then they switched, and I was like, oh man, like. But it was Astrid, and I was like, oh cool, like I like Astrid, she's awesome. So I'm like looking up all this like stuff online about Astrid, trying to remember like, oh, what's her dragon name and all this stuff. Well, then we're like getting closer, and Astrid switches out for a character who's not in the movies at all, and it was so funny because I was like so upset. I was so upset, and Joe goes,
Legburn Goose Knuckle was her name.
Yeah, and Joe goes, you love making friends and meeting new friends, and I go, I don't want to make a new friend.
You were very upset.
I was so mad.
But we became good friends with Legburn.
I loved Legburn.
She was great.
I'm so glad that we actually met her and not Hiccup or Astrid. Like she's was
a goose
fun,
farmer.
Unique character that they've created. She had like a goofiness to her, and it was fun getting to ask her questions about. Like I asked her about her dragon.
Her whole thing, it was like she's a goose farmer, and like she's kind of new, and it's like Hiccup is like kind of entrusting her to like watch Toothless for a little bit, and she doesn't want to mess it up because like she doesn't have her own dragon that she can fly yet, and like she's trying.
She has her own dragon, but she can't fly on her dragon,
right? Because it's too small. So she's like kind of trying to prove herself. So it was like an interesting kind of take.
Yeah, and she was just like she was very goofy and bubbly and it was a really enjoyable interaction. Of course, then you have Toothless on top of that, so then it's
and the great thing is, and this is why the line takes forever. I mean, they don't rush you through there. I mean, they talk to you for a while. They do tell you only 2 different poses. Like you can do 2 different poses. They have photographers there that you can like buy your picture, but you can give them your phone. and the person who took our phone just took 100, like literally 120 pictures just as we were there for, the 5 or so minutes we were there. So like, while they say 2 poses, I mean, they're taking pictures and stuff the whole time for you. But that's why it takes a while. So like they're definitely not rushing you through. It's not like you're waiting an hour and it's like, all right, hurry up, get your picture and leave. It's a really great experience. One of the reasons why we were waiting there is because we wanted to see the Untrainable Dragon show, which Express Pass is an option on. And one thing we kind of learned with the shows, not from the Untrainable Dragon, but from the show in the Harry Potter land, is just because you have Express Pass, that doesn't like guarantee you a spot in it.
It doesn't really give you, it gives you some of it, like a bit of a benefit, but not as much as you would think.
There's an Express Pass line that they let in like 5 minutes before they let the regular line in, but you still have to be in the Express Pass line. So if that line fills up for the show, it's not like you can just come in whenever and get Express Pass. So it's like you still kind of have to go to the show 20, 30 minutes early to get an Express Pass line, but then you're kind of like the first person in and you can get a good seat.
Yeah.
But we wanted to see the Untrainable Dragon show. The one show was canceled, so we said, hey, we'll kind of wait here for Toothless, and then get the next show. As we were there, more and more shows were getting canceled, and they were having technical issues. It ended up not opening at all, which, again, reading kind of some of the reviews and some of the message boards after we were there, seems like it's a pretty common occurrence that either the shows get canceled or it runs in like this B mode where Toothless
doesn't fly.
So that seems to be the issue with the show, is that Toothless puppet flying. So my guess is if they can't get it to work, they just cancel the show. And if they start the show and it's not working, they just switch into B mode. And so they were, I guess, obviously not able to get it working at all that day. So we kind of kept going back, which is, I think, where one of the benefits of Express Pass was. Like, we definitely walked back there multiple times to see, is this one, is it going to go or not? And then they'd cancel it. And we kind of had that flexibility, knowing we really didn't have to wait in line for other attractions. Like, I feel like if we had to wait, we would not have gone back as much. Not that
it didn't benefit us at all, but
like, we weren't stressed out about like, oh, we want to see this show, but we also want to ride all this other stuff. So that's the one thing really that we wanted to do that we didn't get to do. But we did ride Hiccup Swing Gliders, which is the coaster in Isle of Burke, which before this you were saying I don't even remember that attraction at all.
I literally have. I think there was some water involved, right? Didn't we go under the water or something?
Yeah, you basically go through the land. There is there's a Toothless animatronic. There's some other dragon animatronics. It's a double launch. Like, it launches you to start, and then there's that. It kind of stops you, which I think is cool.
Kind of remember.
Where like you kind of go up a hill and then you stall out and you come back.
Oh yeah.
And then like you launch again, and then it kind of goes over the water, like the goats and stuff there. So you remember it a little bit. I thought it was pretty fun.
I do remember it a little bit now. Okay, yeah. Again, roller coasters are no longer my favorite rides anymore, but yeah, I do. It does ring a bell. It does have a little bit, reminds you a little bit of Everest because of the, like, you get that, like.
It doesn't remind you of Everest at all.
No, because Everest, you go up to the end of that, the end of the track.
It's nothing like that, though.
It's not, but it's the only other roller coaster that I could ever think of where you're heading in a direction that you think you're going to go, and then you don't go in that direction.
But overall, I liked it. It kind of had a little bit of like a Slinky Dog Dash feel for me, in that it's a launch coaster, but it's a more like family-friendly launch coaster. Like, it's not as intense as like Stardust Racers or anything, which is also a launch coaster, which we'll get to in a little bit. But I thought it was fun. Again, kind of like the animatronics, got a little bit of a story. It's got good onboard audio to it. So I thought it was a lot of fun. The other attraction in there, you mentioned the wing gliders. We did not ride that. They also have the fire drill, which is basically, it's a water ride. You can see the entire attraction from up above. So we didn't go ride it. Because it wasn't.
You could see most of it.
It wasn't super hot, and we really didn't want to get wet, which The only way you really get wet is if there's other people and other boats that are then spraying water at you. Because we thought about like late in the day, there was nobody on it.
I yelled down on two women that were down on the ride, asking them if they were getting wet, and they said they weren't. But I just was like, at that point, I figured we go to Orlando enough when it's really hot. We are going to ride this ride eventually, and so just like the wing gliders, and then also we didn't ride. What was it? A werewolf ride? What was?
The Curse of the Werewolf, that was down when we were over there.
And then like eventually they did get it back up, but like, so there were a couple rides we didn't ride, but I figured like I liked it enough and you liked it enough that we were like, yeah, we're gonna take Disney days next time.
Yeah, I mean the fire drill, again, the fact that you could see the entire ride and basically you're just on a boat and you have like a water cannon that you're spraying at targets that you drive by, and it's a very short attraction. I was like, I can see it. I don't really need to go on it. But overall, really liked the Isle of Berk. Was really impressed by that land. Then we went to the Ministry of Magic,
which I had zero expectations for.
Yeah, it's amazing how every time they build a new land around Harry Potter, it just gets better. Like when Hogwarts opened, you thought like this is the pinnacle. It can't get any better than this. Then they build Diagon Alley, and you're like, wow, you're completely immersed in this. Like you're going into Diagon Alley. This whole thing's back there. This is incredible. Then you go to the Ministry of Magic, and you walk in, you're in France,
which is really, really cool. So, a little background on this. It's been a while since I've read Harry Potter. I mean, I read it probably 15 years ago, and I haven't watched a movie since. Haven't seen Fantastic Beasts. So going into this, I'm like, oh, it'll be what it is. It's whatever. But going in, they did do a really nice job of like capturing France. They had even some of the little places that they had out, like that weren't real shops, but they look like shops. They had like the fake flowers that are all over the front of it, like they had in some of the little shops in France and restaurants, that like it just looks really cool, really beautiful. They had like, it was highly decorated. I could see people walking around with their wands, and they were interacting with a lot of the land because they have those like spells that you can do. And it was just really well done. Loved like the French all over the place that kind of like sold that you were where where they say you were. It was just it was a really cool extension of what they had already done.
Yeah, and the scale and scope of it, again, is it just gets grander and grander every time they do one of these lands. The other thing that's really cool when you walk in there, there's a lot of live entertainment. There was a band playing at one point. There's a couple wizards just walking around interacting with people that we saw throughout the day. What I found most impressive with the attraction, the Battle for the Ministry, and then they have a show there, Le Cirque Arcanu, is the way they built this is you're walking into these spaces and they don't look that big from the outside. Like the show, again, it's kind of like a circus. It's a magical circus. So you're walking into kind of like a tent area. Like, hey, come to the circus, walk into this tent. And then it just goes on forever. And you walk into, there's a pre-show, and it's in this huge room. I mean, the queue, first of all, is really long and expansive. And you're like, where was all this? Then you're walking into this pre-show. This huge room. And then they're like, okay, wait, now come into the main area. And it's this giant theater. I don't want to give too much away, but like the stage is huge. The stage moves at one point. It's a really well done show. It's kind of like, there's some acrobatics, circus stuff. There's puppetry and magical creatures in it. But you're like, where was this building? Out there. And the same when you go to the Battle of the Ministry, because you walk in and you're transported to the British Ministry of Magic, and it's like 50-foot ceilings, and you're like, how did I get here? There were no buildings outside that looked like it was built for this. So they do an incredible job of perspective and hiding these places that it really makes it feel magical, that you're stepping into these places that don't feel like they should be able to exist from the land you just came from.
Yeah, specifically, I felt that way more about the ministry itself. Obviously the buildings behind the facades are meant to look like they're buildings, but they're obviously, warehouses where like having these rides. So when you made those comments when we were there, I was like laughing at you. I'm like, we're just in those buildings. But because you enter in an area so small, like that circus tent, it's pretty small. And then you go back and it's kind of basically telescoping, opening up.
Well, what you realize is all those storefronts you can't go into.
Yeah.
So when you're outside, that's the thing. When you're outside, you see all these storefronts. And in your mind, you just assume those are all places you can go into and shop. And then when you come out, you realize, okay, yeah, it's in those buildings. I actually can't go in most of those storefronts, so that's kind of how they hide it in there. It's just really well done. The ministry, though, it's amazing.
That was, again, I had no expectations. There's some continuations of some of the cool queuing that they have over in like the original Harry Potter land with the talking pictures and newspapers and things like that. But then once you get into the actual Ministry of Magic, it's funny because they actually have just a viewing line that you can go and
makes
just
sense.
view it.
Once you go in there, it makes sense of why they have, hey, single rider, or you just want to go take a look. Highly recommend that. If you don't want to ride the attraction, go in to view it. It's worth it.
Yeah, it is just the scale of it, and it is not fake scale. It is really,
huge.
Really big inside.
The thing I can probably most equate it to is when you're on Rise of the Resistance and you go into the hangar with the AT-ATs in there.
Yeah.
It's that big and that kind of awe-inspiring. Even with the Express Pass, you go through most of the queue and it's just like, this queue goes on forever. It's like, how did they fit all of this in here? You love the attraction. So it is, you're in basically an elevator. I don't know if it's on the same. I don't know if it's on the same arm as, like the Forbidden Journey. I don't know if it's on one of those like Kuka arms. But even if it is, it's well done because there's screens, but they're kind of farther away from you. Like they do a nice job in this attraction and in Monsters Unchained, because that is the same ride mechanism as Forbidden Journey. Of they don't rely all on screens and having screens in your face where you're going to get like motion sickness. The screens are adding depth. They're far enough away. There's animatronics. There's physical things in the foreground that kind of help kind of cement you to where you are. So the motion sickness really wasn't an issue for either of us. But yeah, I didn't really know what to expect. You really liked the Battle for the Ministry. We rode it and you're like, I love that. I want to go ride it again. And when we were waiting outside and you heard some guy yelling like, hey, there's nobody in the single rider line. And you're like, let's go ride it again. And we hopped back in the single rider line because you enjoyed it so much.
Yeah, it was a cool ride. I think that, again, the creativity, going with the IP, again, like talking about the, just kind of carrying over from Nintendo. It's a cool IP. You have imaginative creatures that escape and characters that have magic. And so the ride and the mechanisms for the ride, like they make you feel like you're floating. And so it is just like it's a really interesting way that you're traveling through the ride, and like the story behind why you're doing it and the creatures and things that you encounter along the way. It is a really cool ride. And again, like I liked it a lot. And then whenever I saw that there was time, like, oh, I can go ride it again and not have to wait, I was like, well, why not? Like, why not check it out a second time? Because I felt like the first time I was a little bit foggier on the story. So I was like, okay, I would like to ride it again and kind of get a little bit more clarification on that. And yeah, it's just a overall cool ride.
Yeah, it's kind of a mix of.
I also wanted to see the Ministry of Magic again.
Yeah, to walk in there. The attraction itself is kind of a mix of Forbidden Journey and like Spider-Man Transformers, in that, because to your point, you mentioned like creatures and stuff, and it reminded me of one scene where like they have large physical sets mixed with screens, whereas like Forbidden Journeys really relies on screens. You get like a Transformers, Spider-Man, like there's some physical sets there. So it is kind of a good blend of that. But yeah, so we were able to ride that twice. The Next Land Dark Universe we were able to ride Monsters Unchained twice as well. So we did get a lot of attractions in. That was another one where it was once with Express Pass. The wait for that was only like 10 or 15 minutes. So we just went back in the standby line, and we'll get to that because you really love that attraction. But by time we got there, it was the evening and it was dark.
Oh man.
And I
that
think,
did that help?
Yeah, I think that was definitely the way to go, was to wait until at night, because I don't think that land would have been as cool during the day. It's a creepy land to begin with. You have the windmill that catches fire. You have, again, live entertainment. There's a woman who's walking around playing a violin, kind of warning the town folk.
Star Cruiser alum. At least when we were there.
Yeah.
We actually saw two, and there's at least 3 people that used to be involved with the Star Cruiser that were in the various shows or participate in the various shows. So it's nice to see that some of those cast members that had these really cool, highly interactive positions are back into a position where people are getting to see them perform.
Yeah, and this one, again, is highly interactive because she's walking around the land and she's kind of telling she's telling stories about different monsters as kind of like, these are real tales, like, heed my words, go tell others what you've heard, playing the violin, walking around playing the violin. So like, again, just having that at night.
Yeah.
And then there's like the bells that start ringing. It just adds a crazy vibe to it. So,
and she is playing, when we say she's playing the violin, she is legitimately playing the violin. So
I mean, not
that's
like full songs, but kind of just adding ominous music to the stories and stuff.
That to me was, so that cast member is acting, but on top of acting, she's storytelling, and on top of storytelling, she's also producing music. I mean, it is really, really cool. And that is the thing that, like, I kind of want to backtrack for a second, because we didn't actually even touch on this particular thing, but there was a lot of, again, live entertainment when we were over in the Isle of Burke. Oh my gosh, Rough and Tough were walking around. The brother and sister that have share the dragon that has 2 heads. I mean, they were hilarious.
Oh, they have a dragon that has 2 heads?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
cool. They were a lot of fun. Yeah, if you look at it, there's 2 shows. So again, Untrainable Dragon, which we didn't see. There's the show in the Wizarding World, which was phenomenal. Highly recommend
amazing.
that. If not just for the bubble magic alone, I think it's worth it. But there's a lot of really cool stagecraft and stuff in that one.
Yeah.
But then in the lands, so yeah, there's the baby dragons that come out in Isle of Burke.
And that is the other benefit that we had from going back and forth to Burke so much, is the first time we were there, we did not get to see Boston Robotics? Is that who does that initially?
I think similar. No, they're dragons from, don't break the illusion here. But yeah, the first time it was Rough and Tough.
We saw Rough and Tough.
And they were doing a fun, like, how to put out fire show, which was a pretty fun little thing. And then the next time we went over, they had one of the baby dragons there,
right?
Which we saw walk directly into a wall,
walk straight into the wall.
And they just kept on walking right into the wall, which was kind of funny.
It was funny. I was but it was a cute show. I was excited to have gotten to see that. One of the dragons performed, and again, Lakeburn was with the dragon, and just made me fall in love with her anymore.
So you have those experiences. You mentioned the violin player over in Dark Universe, in Ministry Magic Harry Potter Land. We mentioned you had some wizards walking around with like wands. They were the French wizards. They had musical people playing. Just in the center, there's a giant lake that has water fountains that at night was playing shows to music. Like, it was playing.
It reminded me very much of like Bellagio, but obviously a very small
but it
scale
was like that.
Bellagio.
Every
dancing
few
fountains.
Minutes, like we saw a couple different shows. I think at one point it was playing music from the different lands because they were playing like
I think
Nintendo,
it might have been a little
music.
bit of Mario.
But like that was happening at night. So yeah, just to your point, touching on the entertainment, they really are going kind of all in on live entertainment, which is one of the things I don't want to say worried about, because Disney does live entertainment. I mean, they had that at Avengers
Campus.
It's
incredible, and then after peel it back.
After a while, they peel it back. So, like, I am interested to see, this is, again, 6 months, 7 months in to Epic Universe. They are trying to entice people to come here, but in a year or two, if attendance doesn't keep going up, like if it starts to pull back, do they start cutting back? Obviously not the shows, because the shows are pretty permanent, but do they start cutting back the people in the land,
extras,
which add so much, especially Dark Universe, that added so much to
flavor
to the land. And just again, the nighttime added to the land, and then you go and you have Dr. Frankenstein's castle looming over this thing, and at night it's lighting up with electricity. It just draws you in, and is the perfect like kind of entrance for that attraction.
Okay, so, and I every time I've described this to anyone, I say this because I'm not a horror fan, but
it's not really. I mean,
it's not really. So if you're a person like me and you think, oh, I don't even need to go over there because I don't really like horror movies, I feel like anybody, if you're a fan of horror, you'll love it. If you're
it's
not
the Universal monsters,
yeah,
which
but
I feel
if you're
like isn't
not
like horror, as in like stabby.
But also like I found it like intriguing as a fan of the book Frankenstein, because I mean, it plays with some of the themes that I think are so strong in Frankenstein. It's why it's I probably would say it's my favorite piece of classic literature, just because I think thematically it is so very strong. And that was the thing that I found so alluring about the land, because the first story that we heard from the violin player was all about, I think she was actually telling the story of the ride, essentially, of who's the monster and who is the I think it was about Victoria Frankenstein.
Yeah, basically setting the tale that the second time we saw her, it was Phantom of the Opera, and I go, oh, so that's what Phantom of the Opera is about. Maybe I'll like the musical the next time I see it, now that I know what it's about. But but basically kind of setting the tale of kind of the Monsters Unchained attraction.
But yeah, Monsters Unchained, it is just such a solid ride, going into like the hubris of human beings, and sort of like, you know, in this ride, in this attraction, you're playing with these creatures that are so very strong, and the humans are trying to harness them in a way that it's like, okay, this is like not right. And so it does play with this like thing, and it's so compelling of, yeah, who's really the monster in this ride? Like, the monsters are, you know, coming after you, attacking you, coming out at you, but also they're doing it because they've been held by a human who's trying to harness them and control them.
Yeah.
And so it's just so cool. And again, like, I feel like there are some screens just like for background flavor, but this is so rich in animatronics, things that come out, that pop up,
well, apparently
like really
apparently Steven Spielberg was the one that like told Universal they need to go all in on monsters. Like, he wanted this to be like their answer to Haunted Mansion. So I think this is kind of why it is like, again, a lot of animatronics and so well done.
I'm probably gonna say something that I'm gonna regret.
Are you gonna say it's better than Haunted Mansion?
It's better than Haunted Mansion.
I thought it was really good. So for people that may be worried, again, because we are people that on Forbidden Journey, as we have become a little bit older, it bothers us a little bit. We get some motion sickness issues. It was definitely something that didn't bother me when I was younger, but as I ride it now, and I do think like, I think they've replaced the projectors, which probably helps, but that's something, again, like, you're in those screens, and if that picture isn't crisp, that's just going to throw you off even more. So it's the same ride mechanism. Even in the pre-show, the way they show that vehicle moving, of like, somebody even asked a cast member after seeing that, of like, does it do that? Because it basically is like flipping forward and backwards, and the person was like, they're just trying to scare you. It's not that bad. So like, if you're somebody that really can't do Forbidden Journey and you're kind of worried, no issues at all for us. It was
smooth. Very smooth.
It does kind of like push you forward and back. But what I will say is, whereas Forbidden Journey, you're kind of completely enclosed in the ride vehicle, and then you're dropped into these screens completely enclosed. This is more open. It is very much practical sets. It's very much animatronics. So yes, you're moving around, and it can be, it can be a little jerky how it kind of throws you forwards or backwards, but you can see physical things. There's some screens in some instances, but it's more like there's a screen here. I was gonna say, you're not in one of those like dome screens.
The screens that are huge, and then there's still like
There's still
big
physical
animatronics
sets.
in front
Well,
of
that's
them.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You can always like anchor to something. My knock with it was there are multiple places, and riding it twice, I was able to kind of catch this more, where you're kind of turning from one scene to another, and it was just like a black curtain, or you could clearly see the floor or the ceiling of it. Now, I will say,
Didn't bother me.
Yeah, it didn't bother you, but for me, it's like, I don't want to say it's like the greatest attraction ever, because I do think there's some of those little things where like they could have paid a little bit more attention. I think the counterpoint to that is basically the attraction is you're going through the catacombs and the lab of Victoria Frankenstein, and
which is a fun nod to Victor Frankenstein.
And the ride vehicle you are on is something that Igor is controlling to take you through. So the fact that you can see the arm moving you around, or you can kind of see the walls, I think what the argument of that is probably is like, well, that's part of the ride. We're not saying you're magically flying like in Harry Potter. We're saying you're on this robotic arm just going through a lab. So it's not all going to be, completely immersive. So I think that's kind of the counterpoint to it. But those were my couple of things. Again, it's amazing. So I'm nitpicking here to try to find something, but that's probably my one critique of it.
I do think too, it's part of like, I think my favorite genre of rides, like as you were just talking about this, it made me think about why maybe I enjoyed it so much, but I do like a ride where you are escaping something, like Dinosaur. You got in there.
Well, you're gonna get a good story.
You're gonna get trapped, and they wanted you to get this dinosaur, but it's not looking good for you. Up, you got out. And then like Haunted Mansion, kind of the same thing, where it's like, oh yeah, did you die? Did you not die? Like, what's going on? It's pretty cool.
This is more like Dinosaur, where
this is more like Dinosaur, where you're like, oh snap, like I'm in trouble.
You're going on a tour. It goes wrong. Are we gonna make it? Maybe, no, yes.
Yeah.
We made it. So yeah, that's definitely more like Dinosaur. But you really loved that.
I thought it was one of the best.
Was that your favorite attraction?
By like far and away.
Okay.
Yes.
The last land is the Celestial Park. Again, that's the middle part of the park. That has the carousel in it, which was nice. It's a interesting spin on a carousel because it plays like different songs and the constellations light up and everything.
And the carousel moved differently based on the song as well. So
it's a different ride experience each time.
Yeah. So like, I think it was the time before us. It was like a more upbeat song.
Yeah, that was more fun.
Yeah, it looked really fun. We got on and it was like a much more relaxed song. And I was like, oh man, I wish we would have been on for the last ride. But regardless, it didn't matter because just like, it is a carousel, but it was a different take on a carousel. And there are like the vehicle, like vehicles. I don't know if I want to call it a vehicle, but
it's all based on constellations. So they have bears and lions and stuff.
But they actually rotate within the ride, so you're not necessarily stationary. Although there are some of the constellations that are just in place. Yeah. So you just have to kind of, if you go and you want to be moving around.
They ask you, because they even asked us. They were like, "How many people do you want to share?" Or do you want your own? Like they were asking that to like determine how many people to go through.
Yeah, but
then you have to pick one.
Yeah, you have to pick one, and so you just have to look at the floor.
Yeah.
So if you want one that does rotate, just make sure you get one on the circle and the floor, right?
You can see too.
But I could also see if you're not paying attention prior to it, getting on and being like, oh man, like why am I not moving, but other people are. So just like look at the floor, but. Yeah, like I wanted to ride on a bear, but then I wanted to make sure we got one that rotated. So I think, what did we end up getting? A lion or?
I don't even remember because I said wherever you want to go, I'll go. But it was fun.
It was cool.
The ride though,
it's beautiful too.
That's in Celestial Park, Stardust Racers. We rode that at night. It was amazing. That is an intense launch coaster. It launches you twice. It's the only roller coaster I've ever been on where it is like a double launch in the fact that it is launching you and you're going, oh, wow, we're going pretty fast. And then it increases the launch speed and revs up even more. So you think you're going fast and then it just even accelerates further. And it does that twice in two different launch places. We rode it I came off, I had lost my voice because I was screaming so much the first time. And I was like, I want to ride that again. And I looked at you. I said, are you okay? You didn't talk for probably like 2 minutes after. I was like, are you okay? Did you love it? Did you hate it? I was worried, like, was this too much for you? Because it is very intense. But I screamed. I think the last time I've screamed that much on a roller coaster was when I rode Velocicoaster.
I was going to say it was Velocicoaster.
They're very, very similar. And I was like, I want to ride this again because it was a very short wait. And I said, I understand if you don't want to ride it. And you're like, no, I had fun. I'll ride it again. So we rode because there's two different there's two different sides of it. And they actually do race. So yellow and green. And I forget which one we rode first, but the one we rode second.
I think we rode green
first maybe, and then we rode yellow.
And then we rode yellow.
But whatever we rode, there was one point on the second time where I told you, I was like, I thought the car was going to hit me because where we turned over, the other car was like right here next to me. It felt like it's very close. It's a very thrilling, fun attraction. I loved it. I will say, I think riding it twice in a row within like 20 minutes.
We walked on the second time.
Yeah. After that, I was like, I don't need to ride it a third time in a row.
Well, it was
phenomenal.
And at that point, we made the decision to not ride anything else also.
Yeah.
Because we thought about going back and doing the gliders. We thought about, I feel like there was, we even looked at the wet ride. That's when we looked at that one in Isle of Burke. Yeah. And we thought about doing that. And then we were kind of like, again, we could save that for another day. We don't need to. Like,
it was the end of the night and we purposely left Stardust Racers until the end in case we did not feel well coming off of it. I was fine with it. I think you were okay with it. Again, I lost my voice. It was so much fun.
I definitely did ride it a second time, not because I was like, yay!
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
I did it because FOMO, and I wanted to test out to see how the coaster like experience differed, which I feel like they felt very similar. They were similar.
But that was another one.
Also because you were getting so much joy from it. I do like to, like absorb through osmosis some of the joy that you experience on roller coasters.
So that was when we rode at the end of the night. It was amazing at night. I think during the day that'd be completely different attraction.
I don't know that it would have been like as like special as much during the day, but I mean, I'd be up for trying it out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. I will go on that again. Velocicoaster, I want to get back on. Stardust Racers, I definitely want to get back on. So Monsters Unchained, that was your favorite attraction?
Yeah, far and away my favorite.
See, I think for me, it was Stardust Racers. Yeah. Again, I had so much fun on that. 100% lost my voice. So those are our top attractions. We are going to release a bonus episode for our subscribers. If you want to become an Enchanted Ears Insider, over on YouTube, we're going to have our bonus episode this month. We're going to rank all the attractions that we rode at Epic Universe. If you want to check that out, you can join on YouTube. We have a bonus episode every month. That's going to be this month's episode. But yeah, those were definitely our top attractions. Favorite land? Like, what was your top, out of all of the lands, what was your favorite land?
This is very surprising, but I'd say Dark Universe was my favorite.
Dark Universe was pretty phenomenal, especially at night.
Yeah, and
especially at night,
it just had a cool, creepy, old European feel. And also there were things in there that we didn't do. Like we didn't, like I mentioned that werewolf roller coaster. There was also like a cool. Was it like a Dracula cafe or something? We went in. It's right where the windmill is.
That's the burning windmill. Yeah. It's basically like a little like bar.
Yeah, but there was there were some things like, there were garlic bread steaks.
Yeah. They had that.
And so we said that we definitely, next time we go, we want to try them out. I thought it was just really cool, like well themed. I think it looked really awesome at night. I think it's shown at night more than the other parks probably would have. I mean, Nintendo World always looks great. But I feel like as far as just having the coolest attraction and then seeing the burning windmill, I think was just a really cool thing. It only lasts for like 30 seconds, but it's still really cool.
Well, it's all kind of part like the bells ring first and there's like, it sounds like the villagers are coming and they're yelling like light it on fire and then it lights on fire. I mean, it's a pretty cool like total experience. I think my problem with it is every land is so incredibly themed. It's not like they have one super well themed land and the rest of them aren't. Like you mentioned, Super Nintendo World. That's just amazing to walk into. It can be somewhat of an overload though. but like just because of everything going on.
There's also a lot of people.
There's a lot.
That
is the most crowded one. That stayed the most crowded throughout the day. But like you're right, Dark Universe, the vibe of that, just the detail of it, everything at night was phenomenal. But like I was surprised. I really loved Isle of Berk. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen How to Train Your Dragon, but the entertainment there, seeing Toothless, having the animatronic dragons
really
throughout
well
the land, the way it just feels like you're in Berk, you're in a village, that all the stuff is happening.
The interactive components, like there was like a little wheel you could spin and you could make a dragon's wings flap. Like the ice dragon that goes off, like it was just really full.
I will say, there are some of the roller coasters, they have like netting around them. So they had this on the Curse of the Werewolf, and they had this, I was thinking of it with Isle of Berk on the Hiccup Swing gliders. That takes you out of it a little bit. I get it's for safety because they don't want like people throwing stuff at the roller coaster. But it is kind of weird. Like you're walking around Berk and then you just see like netting kind of around. So that's a lot. But then like Ministry of Magic. I mean, that land is phenomenal. Like, for me, it is very difficult to pick a favorite land. I would probably put it between Ministry of Magic and Isle of Berk. I think are probably my two favorite, just in terms of entertainment and theme and detail.
There's more to do
size
there than Dark Universe.
Yeah, Dark Universe was, it felt like to me it was the smallest one.
Yeah, it's a little thinner than some of the other ones. I just think that like on vibes alone, and then just having, for me, the strongest ride, that's probably why I would rank it the highest. But I do think that Berk is probably stronger in terms of just like overall theming.
Yeah, I would probably put Berk 1, I would say. But again, Super Nintendo World
really incredible.
Is great.
I think it's just hard for us because we've seen it before, so it wasn't completely new.
I think the difficult thing about that one, as you mentioned, it's crowded more often, and it is a sensory overload. Like, there's no places you can really go in there and kind of get away from all the coins people making noises and all the...
my issue is more just the people. I love the colors.
Well, no, but I'm saying, but like the sounds of the coins making noises and the mini games and stuff. Like, there's no kind of quiet places to go, whereas like Isle of Berk, it is more like a real world because it's not a video game. So there's just kind of more like relaxing places you can get to. But
I feel like Donkey Kong is the more calm of the two. Like if you go over there,
even that, because there's people playing the drums and that rhino comes out and you have the mine carts going around. Like there's just stuff always happening. It's amazing, but I just feel like you need to step out of that land to kind of get away from it. You mentioned like the food, like we kind of walked into place. We didn't eat a lot of different places. I mentioned Toadstool Cafe. You mentioned kind of the snacks.
I also
Super
got
Nintendo.
The bao buns. There were bao buns
that was just in the Celestial Park.
Yeah.
That was just kind of a food place in the park. I ate at the Meteor Astro Pub, which again was in Celestial Park. I got the fish and chips, which I thought was really good. But we really didn't like do a lot of like themed eating. We were there to ride the attractions, just experience it. Which again, we were there pretty much the whole day. I think the park opened at 10. I think it was open 10 to 10. We got there probably like 9:30, 9:45, and we stayed until probably 9 o'clock at night. Yeah. So I mean, we were there pretty much the whole day. But yeah, really didn't get into the food a lot.
Yeah, and I would definitely say it's a whole day park. Like you're gonna be there. You're gonna be there the entire day. We did get lucky, like you mentioned, kind of at the top of when we started talking about this. We got lucky in that it felt like there were people there. It felt, and when I say crowded, yeah, when I say it felt crowded, it was just like there were people there, but it didn't feel overloaded like when you walk down Main Street in Magic Kingdom.
It was not crowded at all. By the evening, by probably 5 o'clock at night, most attractions, and this is why we were able to ride stuff multiple times, it was a 10 to 15 minute wait. I mean, Monsters Unchained was 15 minutes. We used Express Pass because we had it. We didn't need to. I mean, we rode it. We walked on right again. Stardust Racers, you said, we walked on it the second time. I mean, you could ride a lot of stuff in probably the last 4 or 5 hours.
At the end of the night, we did go back over toward Mario. We should have checked to see. I can't remember.
I feel
like it still had like a 40-minute wait.
That is the one land, and that's what, when we walked in, we asked one of the cast members there, like, where do you recommend going first? She said, go to Super Nintendo because that stays crowded the whole day. We had express pass, so it really didn't matter. But yeah, those probably stayed 45 minutes to an hour. The rest of the park really dipped. So I guess that kind of brings up a good question. Do you think express pass was worth it? Like, we had express pass, we were able to skip all of the lines, but like we said, there was a good chunk of the time where we probably would have only waited 20 minutes. Like, I think we still would have been able to ride every attraction even if we didn't have express pass.
Yeah, it's hard to say. For us specifically, do I think it was worth it for the amount of money it cost us? Probably not, because we probably didn't save that much time overall. What it would have cost us is just having multiple rides on. I mean, we rode, 3 rides multiple times?
We rode Battle for the Ministry twice. We rode Monsters Unchained twice, and we rode Stardust Racers twice. Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like that's maybe what it could have potentially cost us. I still think we probably would have gotten it all in. But
that's the thing.
For peace of mind's sake, I think that because we weren't sure how often we would return to the park, like, now having been there, I know we're gonna take a Disney day away on our next vacation, because I think it was so great. We didn't get to see and experience everything, and I want to go see those shows again. I want to ride those rides again. They are now some of my favorite rides down in Orlando, so I think that we didn't know that going in, so I feel like it was kind of neutral again. But money, it was like over $400. That's a lot of money.
It was a lot. I do think, to your point, from a peace of mind perspective, I think going into it, we were like, we're not sure how crowded it's going to be. I mean, you see a lot.
It was still a holiday weekend.
It was Thanksgiving weekend. You see a lot. Battle for the Ministry is a 5-hour wait, like when it first opened. I mean, there were some long lines. There's a lot of downtime with these attractions, and that can kind of impact your day. I think we got lucky where most of the stuff was running that day, which kind of helped keep the crowd spread out. So I think from a purely perspective of, did it help us ride more?
Logistics.
Probably not. Like, we probably really didn't need it to end up doing everything, staying there the whole day. But I think from, hey, we're going here once, we're not sure when we're going to get back. We want to make sure we can experience everything. And like we kind of talked about, it allowed us to more kind of casually, hey, let's go back to Isla Burke and see if the Untrainable Dragon show is gonna run. Let's kind of take our time. Let's spend a little bit more time in this land. Like, we didn't feel rushed in any way, so it made for an overall more enjoyable day. So from that perspective, it was worth it. But from the perspective of, did it help us really ride that much more? No.
Also, the lines, because the lines and the queuing were so highly and well themed, I also would say I wouldn't mind standing in them longer, just because there was a lot to see there that we kind of ran through. Part of that being that it wasn't super crowded.
Right.
And
I think
so
if we
wouldn't have really been standing by a lot of that.
I think if we would have went on
a
day, and I think that this is the problem of, like, should I buy Express Pass or shouldn't I? I think if you can afford it and you want peace of mind to know I'm going to get to ride everything that's open, go for it. Because I think the flip side of that is you take the risk. If we would have went and every line would have been an hour and a half, it would have been very crowded, and we would not have gotten a chance to ride everything, then I would have been like, yeah, Express Pass was 100% worth it. But that's kind of like the game you're playing, especially if you're buying that in advance and you don't know how crowded it's going to be.
Right. Yeah. But I think that either way, I don't feel like you need it, especially if you have a big family, and there's a lot to do and see in there.
Yeah. I think overall, if you're going once and it's maybe like, hey, I don't know when I'm going to go back, and you want to kind of splurge for it, okay. But to your point, if you're going to be there a couple of days, or even if you're comfortable of like, hey, if I don't get on every single attraction, I'm okay. Like, you can, I think, probably pretty easily do 80 to 90% of the stuff in this park on any given day. Mm-hmm. So if you're comfortable with that, I don't think you need it. I think just wrapping up here with just kind of like some final thoughts and tips. Some things I noticed, there's stairs everywhere. Mm-hmm. I mean, to enter Super Nintendo, you're going up an escalator. Basically, every attraction, I feel like you had to walk upstairs both ways to get on the ride and off the ride.
Yeah.
Go figure. So it's a lot of stairs, a lot of walking. The other thing is you really need the app. I mean, people complain about Disney that you got to be on your phone for everything. You physically, Toadstool Cafe and the Astropub I went to, I physically could not talk to a person to order food. I had to have the app. You walk in, there's people standing there in Toadstool Cafe, but they're like, no, we're not taking orders. You have to go from the app. I walked in the Astropub, which is kind of like a sit-down restaurant, I thought. There's nobody there to greet you, nobody there to talk to you. Like, you have to have the app to mobile order. Now, it's super nice because then you go and sit down and tell them what table you're at, and they just bring the food out to you. But, like, if you're not somebody that's comfortable with using the app mobile ordering, make sure you have that downloaded ahead of time. The other nice thing with the app is you can, like, load your photo in there, and then basically, like, for Express Pass, it just takes your picture on the ride, and then you don't, like, need your phone to, like, scan the ticket every time, which was super nice. But, like, you definitely have to use you have to use the app on that, because it's just like you're not gonna be able to get food. I mean, I'm sure you could probably find somebody, but I was super surprised that, like, they had nobody around.
Well, yeah,
to take
from
your
the
order.
places that you ordered, from the places I ordered, because I got all
You
like
went to, like,
quick
a cart.
service type places. I didn't need anything.
But the more like restaurant, it
yes,
was like,
you went to the two places
I'm
that
like,
were more
there's-
like restaurants.
Like, where do I order my food? Who do I talk to? Nobody. You
Yeah.
just order on the phone and sit down. And I think just the other things kind of mentioned, the queues were phenomenal. I mean, I think like this is where the benefit of building a brand new park comes from, because Disney, the newer attractions, they have immersive queues, but this is every single queue is completely immersive. With animatronics in the queues, and it helps tell the story, and just the lands and everything. Like, it is so well done, and I was really surprised by just how full it felt and how well done it actually was for a brand new park. Because I feel like sometimes you build these parks and it's like, all right, what's the minimum we need, and then we kind of add on to it. This felt like, this was actually almost been here for probably a few years, and it's gone through some expansions the way it was so incredibly detailed.
Yeah. It makes me very excited to see where they go with it next, because I do know that they do have some extra land there.
They've already got a permit. They've already got a permit to expand.
Yeah, they've announced expansions.
Well, the rumor is, last I heard, is it's going to be a building for a parade, for parade floats. So that maybe they're going to be doing a parade through the center.
Celestial Park.
Through Celestial Park, which would be, I think, phenomenal.
That would be really awesome.
Because that fountain show was amazing. I mean, there was a ton of people just sitting there. We didn't even talk about the hotel that overlooks it. Like, if you're staying there to be able to see the fountain.
Really, really nice.
Now, I don't know how that works. That was the one thing I kind of wanted to walk over to the hotel, because I was curious of, like, Celestial Park is part of the park, so I imagine you need a ticket to get into it. But, like, if you're staying at the hotel, to be able to just go at night and sit, they got to have seating on the hotel side to watch that fountain, because that would be, I would love that. Just going at night after the end of like a park day, maybe you didn't go to Epic, but just to kind of sit there and decompress and watch that fountain show, like that would be amazing.
Yeah, it was really nice. I'm excited because I'm a big Zelda fan. Like specifically like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and I am just holding my breath, and I'm sure with the Zelda movie coming out,
the rumor is Islands of Adventure. The rumors Islands of Adventure is where that's going, where the
Poseidon show,
where the Poseidon show and stuff was, which has basically been, that whole land's been empty. The rumor is that's going to be Zelda. There's also been the rumor of Pokemon. I think those are the next two that are kind of going to get added in there. So
yeah, I would love to see those.
Yeah.
Specifically, I mean, I would love to see them over at Epic, but if they put it in, Islands of Adventure, that's fine too.
Yeah. But overall,
yeah, really, really well done.
We were super impressed by this.
Proof of concept that they are out over there working hard, doing a great job, theming things really highly, even the bathrooms.
Yeah.
It was great.
It was so good. For a little bit, I was almost saying, wow, I actually now do hope Disney builds another park in Orlando. And then I had to catch myself and be like, no, Joe, we don't want that, because then they need to put money in
more resources.
Yeah, they need to put money in the existing parks. But it was so well done. I was like, man, maybe Disney should start from scratch on a new park, because if this is what Universal's doing, I mean, having Disney do something like this would be phenomenal. But yeah, a ton of fun. Highly recommend it. If you are not somebody that's gone to Universal, would recommend it. If you're somebody that goes to Disney a lot like us, take a day, go up, check out Epic Universe.
But if things are broken, I'm sorry, we did not make that.
Yeah, and I will say, I mean, throughout the day, Stardust Racers was down for part of the day. It came back up. Curse of the Werewolf was down when we were over there, but I do think it came up like later once we had like left that land. So I think stuff is going kind of up and down throughout the day, but I still think it's worth it, even if a few things or down. So would love to hear from our listeners. Like, let us know if you've been to Epic, if you're planning to go to Epic. Let us know in the comments, or let us know on Instagram. We're at Enchanted Ears Podcast over there. But that wraps up the show for this week. I want to thank everybody again for listening. If you've not done so, please leave us a rating or a review. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. It really helps, and we really appreciate it.
Thanks for lending us your ears.
We're off for the next 2 weeks for the holidays. We'll see everybody in the new year.
Bye-bye. Happy New Year.